Hello. Victor, are you there? Hello. Victor, if you are speaking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, sorry. Oh,
No
so
problem.
this time couldn't hear. Let me start again. So as I was saying, today we are starting a new unit, which is an independent project. So our first learning outcome, we're going to understand the consideration to make when planning an ICT project. So the unit will aim to provide the learner with the opportunity to undertake an independent project. In the unit, learners can utilize the knowledge and understanding gained in previous unit and from other areas of learning and experience to independently manage and complete a practical project. So a learner will showcase the skills learned and the understanding of technologies while following formal project management techniques. So in this unit, so for today's session, we will have several learning outcomes, and these learning outcomes are going to understand the consideration to make when you are planning an ICT project, problems, legal and moral and ethical issues, principle, theory, practical, implications, and we're also going to defining and assessing criteria, computer-based system with organization and more complex problems, and how they are resolved. So from our first unit, we're going to identify which ICT system can solve. So first of all, we need to understand, give a definition, understand what is a project. So from our understanding, a project can be a set of activities which end with a specific accomplishment, which has no routine task and distinct start and finish date. So it is really important to understand between a project and the operations, what is the difference. So operations are ongoing tasks which has no start and no finish. So if you work in a business, you have administrators and managers. They will now conduct the operation tasks, while when we're working with the project, we now have a starting date and the end date. So the project has to be scheduled and follow the date and milestones in order for us to achieve them. So project management, we can also say they are not classified as small tasks because they normally involve many members who create the team. So as we see, we have to define the beginning and the end of it. And with the project management, we will now reduce the risks and increase the chances of a success. So by undertaking this project, we always have to take in consideration of many aspects for us to make this project successful. So as we can see, there are three main constraints which have to be taken into consideration when planning a project, which are cost, scope, and time. So these three must work efficiently and in a balanced way, where we don't have to neglect none of them. Otherwise, we will not obtain an effective results. So when we talk about three of them, the project manager must negotiate for more time, more people, or fewer features. So depending on how the project, the nature of the project, and how it has to work, as a project manager, we now be asked, like, part of the skills that has to come from a project manager will be now the capability to handle all these constraints in order to make the project successful. So we have mentioned them, the three constraints, and the outcome that will come from it will be a quality of the project. Now we're going to analyze the principle, theories, and practice for planning an ICT solution. So when we come into analyze, we need to define our project management stages. So by stages, we need to have a project definition where we're going to set the goals, our targets, and objectivities that have to be met. Then we'll have an initiation where we need to set up, put down on the paper all these targets that have been initiated. Then we have to plan. We now need a strategy for our implementation, where we will now take consideration of our constraints, our three constraints, which are time, scope, and cost. Once we have planned, we will now look into the execution, where we now have to work to deliver the product, service, or desired outcome. Furthermore, we have project monitoring and control. So while we're executing our deliverable product, we now have to monitor our performance in order to see if it's been carried out efficiently. And then we can now have a project closure, where is formal acceptance of the deliverable and disbanding of the elements that we were required to run the project. So I just wanted to ask you, from your past experience, if you ever been involved in a project, and what was the success rate of the project?
Yeah, I have been working into multiple projects. So when we start off any project, we first get into some estimations. We decide how much would be the time required, how many number of people would be required to work on that particular project, and what would be the overall cost depending upon the skill set of every individual. So considering all those factors, we come up to a conclusion of the timelines and the costings.
Oh,
So,
and have they been with a good success rate, this number of projects?
yeah, I mean, whichever projects I have worked on, so most of them have been successfully delivered. But yeah, sometimes due to some unforeseen issues that has been encountered during the execution of the project, so sometimes one of the project got rolled off. So right before, at the end of completion, due to some technical problems, the project had to be called it off and had to shut down immediately. So has been in that situation as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing the experience. So as you mentioned, the team has a key role when it comes to delivering a project. So we can see when it says teams, is a group of people that are going to work together, and by putting the skill set of this individual all together, we can now work on the project. And so as we can see, now we should start with forming teams of group of assignments. So normally we would say these groups might involve 3 to 4 members, depending on the complexity and the time required for the deliverability. So planning basic, when it comes to planning, we already mentioned, we have to put down our features and take consideration of our constraints, and identify a set of activities. So this set of activities can be divided into tasks and subtasks, which will help the team to structure in a better way and achieve all these tasks in a short amount of time. Also, there are use of action verbs for naming some tasks. So when it comes to structuring them, we can assign them different names like create, define, gather, rather than will be done. Also, we need to take consideration milestones, which are a really important checkpoint or interim goals for our project. Also, we need to consider how challenging can be working on a project. So from some figures, we can see they've been from past studies, where they've questioned 150,000 IT project managers across the whole UK, and they've come up with these figures where we've seen 84% of IT projects have failed to hit the target on budget, schedule, and scope. So with these figures, we can see that this percentage is really high, where the project teams have not met the milestones that have been set up for the project. So we can see also 45% of IT projects failed to complete on time, and 54 of them projects failed to deliver on the plan for functionality. So they might fail on the scope, target, or even on budget due to circumstances. Now we're going to understand why and how come we are failing on this deliverability. So here we have 5 reasons why project fails. So at the top, we can see we have technical failures, where stemming from poor technical quality, where this is a responsibility of the organization and the information system function. Also, we have data failure, which can be due to the poor design or even the poor user process and the data quality. So some of the nature can not be due to human errors, but can be due to the way we have been projecting it. Also, we have user failures, where is the system to its maximum capability might be due to an unwillingness to train the staff. So not just the data, but also human failure can affect the deliverability of the project. Now we have organizational failure, where an individual system might work and its own right, but fails to meet organizational needs as a whole. So as a whole complex, it can now fail when what is being achieved in maybe individual aspects, but the system did not work overall. And then we have failure in the business environment, where we can see that the steam from systems that are inappropriate to market environments. So coming back to project organization, we can see how this project can be divided within an organization, where we have the project sponsor, which is mainly who's going to provide a justification of the project to the senior management. Then we have project manager, who is going to be assigned by the sponsor, who is going to be appointed by the sponsor, and his major role will be to provide day-to-day management to ensure that the project will be now carried out efficiently. Then we have the users, which are the people within the organization, within the team, that are going to work on the project. Also, we have quality manager, which has the role to ensure that the plan will contain procedures that will ensure quality of our targets. And then we'll now have a risk manager, which will follow on the risk assessment and risk management. And his main role will be to ensure that the project will not fail and will not be put into a position where we can run into failure. Now we look into the process, which we already mentioned, but this will also include estimates, schedule plan, monitoring control, and documentation. So when we look into these planning stages, we need to understand that with the estimation, we will now allow the project manager to plan into the resources which are going to be required for us to deliver efficiently. So by estimation, we simply going to predict time, cost, and scope. So we're just going to estimate, predict what will be our future outcome. Now we're going to explore the methods that are used for defining the assessing criteria. So when it comes to methods and technique, there are several of them. So we can have a WBS, which is work breakdown statement, which we'll look into in more details. Gantt chart, which is simply a technique for planning projects, which is really known and being used so far. Minutes of meeting, task allocation, and task evaluation. So I just wanted to ask you if have you ever worked with any of these technique in your past projects?
Yes, I have done minutes of meetings. I have done task allocation, task evaluation. What's this WBS and Gantt chart?
Okay, we'll look into them in the presentation. So
Okay.
I can already tell Gantt chart pretty much on Excel. So if you're used to Excel, you can now just so Gantt chart is really easy to implement, where we can find it from here, or template. Type. Gantt. Yeah. So there are different type of Gantt chart. So we have planner, agile Gantt chart, data tracker Gantt chart, date tracking Gantt chart. So if we look into maybe agile, so from here we can see visualize and track project using Gantt chart templates. So start to enter the task you're working on, its milestone, description section, and enter the details of each task. So as you can see from Excel, now we have this template where we can work with. This is for an agile project. They also give us different features. Is this useful? Okay.
Yeah.
So from Excel, there are many type of Gantt chart templates. So depending on which project you're working on, you can choose the more appropriate.
Okay.
Okay, so coming back to our presentation, work breakdown statement is simply a categorized list of tasks with an estimate of resource required to complete the task. So this is how a WBS will work. So we just breaking it down as a diagram. Let's call it like diagram. And each diagram will have his appropriate task and how he has to be delivered. Gantt chart, I've already explained how it works. So by definition, Gantt chart a project planning tool that can be used to represent the timing of the tasks required to complete a project. So it is easy to construct, easy to understand, and widely used. So many projects have been using Gantt chart, where they have been entering data, and then they can now plot it in order to have some figures and estimate how we can now do estimate and predict if it's going to be successful or not. Then we have an example. So we have an image example of a Gantt chart project where they've estimated the days that will be required to complete each task and set the deadlines. Here we have another image with another type of project built with Gantt chart. So you already mentioned that you have experience of different other techniques, such as the minutes of meeting. As you can see here, this is simply the way of organizing a team. We're going to define who is attending the meeting, when and where will be held, the agenda of the meeting, apologies, and the next meeting. Also, task allocation, where it's simply going to clearly define the task for each member for the project team. And the tasks and subtasks are the tasks from the Gantt chart. It defines also the data of completion for each given task, and you make full use of available resource effectively. And lastly, we have task evaluation, where it's going to critically analyze all the given tasks of each member. So we're going to evaluate the performance and see if the member have been meeting his targets. So some of the tools that can be used, packages are Microsoft Project, MS Project, Prince2, Excel, which I showed you for Gantt chart, and maybe there might be some online third-party softwares. So I do know a couple of them. I can't remember the names at the moment, but there are some free versions which can be downloaded from web browser. And
yeah, so one of them is I think ALM. The other one is Jira. These are basically the two which are most popular in the project management.
So the name is Jira.
Yeah, JIRA. JI. It's the second. Yeah.
All right.
And the other one is the application lifecycle management, which is ALM.
ALM tool. Thank you for sharing this with us.
No problem.
So we can see these are free online softwares.
Yeah.
For managing projects. Okay, so the project manager will now have the job to direct, supervise, and control the project from the initial stage to the end. And you should not carry out project work when it's just simply going to manage and check the the performance of the project. So here are a couple of skills that are going to be required for being a project manager. So we need to have leadership, people management, where you have to manage, for instance, the team, our customers, suppliers, any type of individual person that might get involved in the project. Also, he has to have effective communication skills, where he has good level of verbal communication and also written. He has to be an influencer, where with his communication, you have to be able to persuade people and convince them into his idea of how he thinks the project should work. Negotiation is really important when it comes to negotiation with the client. Conflict management, where he has to be able to handle all the scenarios and all the situations that might happen during the project, the implementation. Planning, contract management, estimating, problem solving, creative and critical thinking, and also time management. So these are several skills that are going to be required for our project manager, director. Yeah. Also, we have to take in consideration of what are going to be the barriers for a project manager. So if we are lacking of communication, where we have a poor communication skills, we will now have a lot of problems when it comes to understanding between the parties, and that will massively impact the outcome of the project. Disagreement, where we are not able to manage critical situations. Misunderstanding, bad weather, union strikes, personality conflict, poor management, and poorly defined goals and objectivities. So these can be looked as the cons that comes to not having enough skill sets, project management skill sets. When it comes to successful project, we'll now see that we have now completed each single task on time, where we have had an effective planning, monitored each task, each stage, managed our team effectively, and coordinate and cooperating effectively. So this was everything for today's session. Is there any question for me?
No, Victor.
Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you in tomorrow's session.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.